car crashes, defective products, dangerous drugs, injuries, and abuse. Across the state of Alabama, the attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis, Wright, are here to serve you. Your tough legal questions answered by our experts with the attorneys of Hollis, Wright.
And welcome to another edition of The Attorneys. We are so glad to have you with us, and so glad also to have in our studios today a very special guest that you will learn more about in just a moment. As we are talking about law enforcement, and you will learn there is much more to keeping the community safe than locking people up and then throwing away the key. Of course, the sheriff of Jefferson County will certainly lock you up if you're not doing what you're supposed to, but he's doing so many more things than that. I'm Art Franklin, your host, along with Josh Wright, of course, with Hollis, Wright, and Clay, and our special guest, the Jefferson County Sheriff, Mark Pettway. We're so glad to have you here. And I tell you, Sheriff, when Josh found out that we booked you, he was very excited to have you on the show.
Well, not only that, I made sure that I was going to be here because I wanted to meet you in person and just shake your hand and tell you thank you for your service. First of all, thank you for being on. I know you have a super busy schedule, and we appreciate you coming on to the attorneys and being a representative of law enforcement to be able to answer some questions for us. So thank you.
Well, thank you for the invitation. I am glad to be here, and this is what we want to do, to let everyone know what we're doing in the sheriff's office.
So first of all, because I know people care about stuff like this, and it's important, how did you get to the position you're in? So many people are in law enforcement their whole life and don't ascend to a place where they're an elected official at some point. But how did you get to this point to put yourself in the position to be able to run for sheriff and kind of tell us a little bit about your background, because I think it's fascinating.
I have been in law enforcement for 27 years. At that point, a voice spoke to me and said, hey, it's time to go to the next level. I was already promoted to the level of a sergeant, and to me, law enforcement is a calling. And when I heard a calling to an even higher level, to serve at a higher level, I was preparing myself for that. And I wrote it down in 2015 on my app and my phone. It said that I would run for sheriff in 2018, and I did. And thanks be to God that I was victorious in that year to be elected. And that was the voice that came to me. And it wasn't too way after the election that I looked back and I saw that I had written it down, and I showed it to my wife. And it gave me an opportunity to serve at an even higher level than which I was already serving. And although I serve at a higher level, it's more required of me also to be able to deal with day-to-day operations.
Well, you know, they say that in order for something to happen in your life, you got to plan it. Mm-hmm. Putting it down in the app on your phone, that is as much as one can plan it. And I love that you were able to do that in 2018. So you have served, this is your second term as Jefferson County Sheriff.
Yes.
You know, that is kind of a calling. In order to subject yourself to have to run for an office like that, that's not easy to do. And it's a very competitive position to get.
It is. When I first ran, it was a field of 4 that ran against me. We did go to a runoff that year, the first year I ran, and I was victorious in the runoff. Went to the general election in which I had to run against my former boss. And I tell you, that was not easy. It was something I never just really imagined myself doing, but that voice that I heard said, you can do it. And I stepped out there in faith. And because of that, all the fear and everything was removed. And I had an opportunity to debate him. And from there, it just really took the nerves away. And I was able to run the election the way I needed to run the election. And I was glad to be the candidate at that time.
Tell us a little bit about what the sheriff in Jefferson County, what does, kind of the top police officer, what does the sheriff do in Jefferson County, and kind of how is your administration run and carried out?
Oh, wow, that's a good question there, because a lot of people, when I was running, asked, what does the sheriff do? And that's a question a lot of people really don't know. Now, I am the top law enforcement officer in the county. We do a lot. We enforce the law. We also have civil processes that we do. And I tell everybody, my top priority is to make sure you're safe. So safety is our top priority. We want to make sure that everybody is safe. And right now, we're doing a great job of it. In the unincorporated areas, our crime is down. Right now, we're working with the school systems. We have training going on right now to make sure that our deputies are trained on day one to make sure that every school around here is safe in Jefferson County.
So it really is more than just to protect citizens. It's also to serve the citizens with programs and plans and whatnot. And that probably, I'm assuming, ultimately the theory is that the protection side ultimately helps on the service side.
It does. We always look to bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community. We have great programs that help serve the community. We're not looking to just arrest everybody. We can't do that. We don't have enough room for that. So we have programs to help those that are incarcerated, to make sure that we turn them around. And when they leave our facility, we place them in jobs. We help them with their mental health to make sure they don't return back to our facility. Those that are outside our facility, we go into the community. We have programs like Books, Not Bullets to help the kids, and they help bridge the gap between law enforcement and the community because our deputies give those kids books. Also, we bring job programs to those communities because we feel like if we can help educate them by giving them books and place them in jobs, that will help lower the crime rate.
And Sheriff, there are a number of programs like you mentioned right there, but some that you're doing this year in particular, like I'd like to get to. But let me go back to the safety issue because that's been your number one priority, keeping people in this county safe. Take us through the types of things that you've done in order to get those numbers down. 'Cause as you look across the county, those violent crime numbers are down. What types of things have been put in place to get those numbers down?
We have been very proactive. We have a group that's called the SNET team. They go into areas where we're having problems with crime, and we have a very strong presence in those areas. Our presence deter crime, and that's what we want to do, show up in those areas to let people see us. And if we have to make arrests and we have to be out there making stops, we will do that. But most of all, we want to show a strong presence that we're in that area with our SNET team.
And you know, I find it interesting that people don't recognize how large Jefferson County is and how many cities and municipalities fall within Jefferson County. It's a big area to police, and you've got unincorporated areas too that I guess are under the cloak of the Jefferson County Sheriff's Office.
That is correct. A lot of the cities do have their own police department, but where there is no law enforcement, we have to step up and take those calls. And there are some cities right now that are losing their departments, and we have to step in and help those cities out. And we are stretched throughout the county. Yeah. But we do a very good job. We do a very good job of answering the calls, making the people feel safe. We do a very good job of handling accidents throughout the whole county. We have a great team that answers calls when it deals with accidents. So we're on top of it when it comes to protecting the county. So we enjoy going out there each and every day, serving the citizens here in Jefferson County.
And we're getting ready to go to break. When we come back, I do want to talk a little bit about just kind of the diplomacy side of what you deal with on a daily basis, because it's not only internal in your department to make sure people are motivated, but it's also dealing with municipal police officers and municipal chiefs all across the county to make sure that law enforcement is got a presence in all those cities too. So I want to talk a little bit about that when we come back.
Indeed, we'll do that. We're just getting started with our special guest here on The Attorneys. That's Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Pettway. Talked about how he's making the county safe, but also some of his programs. We want to get more into that as well. Talking about 3-on-3 Hoop Fest, but there's a component of that really helps to keep the community safe. Also want to remind you that if you have a question, you want to talk to someone right now, you can call the Wright number. That's 1-844-LAW-TALK. Guess what? On the other side of that call will be an attorney from Hollis, Wright, and Clay. That call is free. It is confidential, and you can do it right now, but stay with us as we continue talking with Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Pettway here on The Attorneys. We'll be right back.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis Wright, a personal injury law firm, and thank you for watching The Attorneys. We hope you, a friend, or a loved one never needs legal counsel for a case. But if you do, The goal of the show is simple: to provide answers and legal counsel when you need it the most. Your call to the show is free and off air. So if you have questions specific to the show or related to other accident or injury topics, call, email, or text us. You can also follow us on Facebook, Twitter, Instagram, and YouTube, or go to hollis-wright.com and click on the Contact Us button. We know your time is valuable, so thank you for spending it with us and watching The Attorneys.
The Attorneys, proudly sponsored by the law firm of Hollis Wright, are here to serve you.
When we started the show 8 years ago, my hope was we would be able to do what we do best, which is to help people answer real-world legal-related issues they have in their life.
People oftentimes are confronting various legal issues and problems in their lives that range across the gamut of legal practice areas. Bankruptcy, criminal law, family law, just to name a few. And to be able to have a 30-minute platform or format to where we can just cover various legal topics once a week, that's obviously the primary focus of the show.
That we would be able to use the resources of the many lawyers we have at this law firm to create a plan that had a lasting impact that also gave back to the community at the same time. And I think we've done just that with the Attorneys. We love this state and its great people. People that are worth fighting for in their lowest moments. It's what drives our lawyers to do what we do. We're here right now to fight for you. At Hollis Wright, your result matters.
And we welcome you back to The Attorneys. Want to remind you to make sure you follow us on all of the social media platforms, Instagram, Facebook, and Twitter. There you will find Hollis, Wright, and Clay, and you can get all the information you need right there. Today we have our special guest in studio with us is Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Pettway. As we come back, Josh, and there was an area that you wanted to get into before we went to break. We want to talk about that.
I want to talk just a little bit about kind of the diplomacy side of your role as Jefferson County Sheriff, dealing with local municipalities and cities, even like the city of Birmingham. I mean, there has to be a lot of overlap and interplay between local municipalities and what the sheriff resources can help. How does that work? I mean, you've obviously got to have relationships with all those chiefs and all those different municipalities. That can't be easy to manage.
Well, we reach out to all of the chiefs and let them know that we're here. Any resources that we have, we are free to share them with their department. We want to make sure that we have a good working relationship with them. This week and the last couple of weeks, we have been working with all the municipalities right here at School Resource. We work with them in the schools, training right now to make sure that if anything happens, we know how to respond collaboratively. So we're looking to work together for just in case something happens, we can work together in that incident without anything occurring and get the suspect out without anybody being harmed. You have been
complimented a lot on the number of unique and impactful programs that you've created to try and assist law enforcement and to reduce crime. Can we talk a little bit about that? Because I think that's a really important thing. First of all, how did you get this concept that these programs are going to ultimately play over onto the crime side and reduce crime? Because that takes vision, and you've obviously got vision. And a lot of sheriffs out there don't have the same vision you have. It's why you're our top police officer here. But how did you recognize the importance of those programs and how they could trickle up to eliminate crime long term?
A lot of deals with being in the community, listening to what the citizens are saying. I had people reaching out to me saying, hey, we need jobs, we need help. And those that really wanted jobs said, hey, I need a better job. So we listened to what was going on in the community, and we took those things back. We said we need a program to help individuals get placed in jobs. Those that are in our jail, those that are on the street. The Dannon Project, along with Lawson State Community College, came to my jail with a program called Renew for Reentry. They help renew these guys by giving them education helping them with their mental status, and then employ them in jobs once they leave the jail. And the judge will make sure that they're employed and stay in those jobs. So we are proud of that program that we have going in that jail. Also, we have a program called Jobs Not Jail for those that are out on the outside. We want to make sure that we touch the community by bringing a job fair to those different areas. And when we do that, we help them with expungements. A lot of the individuals that were coming out say, hey, we like your job, we like what you're doing, but we can't get the jobs because of our record. We do free expungements for those individuals so they can be placed in good paying jobs, making livable wages, so they can stay out of jail, take care of themselves, take care of their families, and live within their community.
And Sheriff, those are long-standing programs that you have in place. But let's talk about a couple of things that you're doing this summer. And first of all, this Hoop Fest, 3-on-3 basketball Hoop Fest, which deals with an area of conflict resolution. Why is that important?
Oh, it's very important because it gives us an opportunity to engage with the youth that are here. We've had plenty of forums, but the youth never showed up. The ones we need to talk to, they weren't there. This gives us the opportunity to sit down and talk with them. And then when we do that, we give them one of these right here. We pass this also to Art. We give them one of our pamphlets to show them that they have options when it comes to conflict resolution. And if you look there at the bottom, one of the last ones we definitely talk about is that, hey, you can always walk away. We want to be able to give them options, and we talk to them about their options. We want to make sure that our kids live and not die. We want them to understand that these options right here can be used at all times. So those options are given to them so they can live and not die.
I love this, too, at the end. Do everything within your power to keep the disagreement from turning violent. I mean, ultimately, isn't that what it comes down to?
Absolutely.
I mean, that's it. And we all have internal in ourselves a way to dispute resolve. We don't all have to be lawyers. We don't all have to be police officers. We all can dispute resolve one way or the other, and one of the ways is just to walk away. That's really interesting.
Yeah, good stuff here. Something else, Summer with the Sheriff. Talk about that if you can.
Also, yes, Summer with the Sheriff. But before I get to that, I'd like to say I've had great feedback from 3-on-3 Hoop Fest. It's growing.
Yeah.
Sponsorships are coming. The kids all over, not just in Jefferson County, but surrounding counties are looking to come to be a part of it.
What's the age group?
The age group is 12 through 30. But we also had Summer with the Sheriff.
You and I aren't there, unfortunately.
We can't do it.
They don't want us there anyways.
Yeah. But you all understand conflict, so it is not for you. But we also have a long-term program. It's called Summer with the Sheriff, in which we sponsored a summer program with the youth over at Bush Hills Middle School. Mm-hmm. Great school, great programs there. We believe in education because we know education will help combat the violence that's going on in the streets. So we want to make sure that we educate the kids and make it a fun place for them to learn. And that's what we've done in the summertime. And their scores, their scores have gone up. They've elevated. They have improved in every area, math, science, and reading. They have improved in those areas. So we're proud of our summer program.
What I understand, the pre-test scores went up for the post-test in math, 25%, 33% in reading.
Yes.
That's real improvement.
Yes.
Well, you know, I will just tell you on air, I come from a background of basketball in my family. You're going to get a sponsorship from us. We're going to get involved. We want to try and help you do that because I think it's a heck of a program and I love it. I think it's awesome. All right, so I know we're getting ready to go to break. When we come back, I want to talk about something that is not addressed all that much, but I know has become more significant in at least the legal world, and that is the mental health component of how you manage that internal in your jails and then try and get these folks back out with mental health in order to be productive contributors to society. Let's talk a little bit about that when we come back.
So we'll talk about that. Josh gave us a tease on that on mental health, but we also have a viewer question for the sheriff that we're going to play that for you as well and allow the sheriff to answer that because we know that you always have questions. And if you have a question for a legal team, the right number to call, 1-844-LAW-TALK. It's free, it's confidential. Hollis, Wright, and Clay. We'll take a break. We'll be back after this.
I'm Josh Wright with the law firm of Hollis, Wright. In court, attorneys are not allowed to tell juries certain things. For example, we cannot talk about a defendant's net worth, meaning the defendant's ability, resources, or insurance to pay a verdict. In this week's Legal 4-in-1, we're answering the question, why can't lawyers talk about a defendant's net worth to a jury? Now, Rule 403 of the Alabama Rules of Evidence states, in part, relevant evidence may be excluded if its probative value is substantially outweighed by the danger of unfair prejudice. Long-standing Alabama cases have held that the net worth of a defendant falls under this catch-all rule and is to be excluded. The reasoning behind the rule is that if a jury knows a defendant is wealthy, then the jury might award more money to the plaintiff. And this goes one step further. If an attorney makes any remarks that suggest the defendant is responsible because he is wealthy or rich and the plaintiff is poor, that can be grounds for a new trial. If you're ever on a jury, the reality in our state is this. In almost every lawsuit that goes to trial, the attorneys representing both the plaintiff and the defendant have already looked at whether there's sufficient insurance coverage or assets to satisfy a verdict. Most likely, the parties would not pursue a civil lawsuit if damages could not be paid after a jury returns a verdict. So even though lawyers cannot mention the net worth of the defendant during trial, there likely are resources available to pay a verdict in court. Please remember, your call, email, or text to the attorneys is free. All of us at Hollis Wright want to help answer your questions on real issues you face. And remember, a competent lawyer will respond to every question you send in. That's our pledge and promise to you. And as always, thanks for watching The Attorneys.
Did you know when you have to take a case all the way to trial, there is almost always insurance involved? Don't take on large insurance companies on your own. Our attorneys are standing by right now to give you a free consultation. At Hollis Wright, your result matters.
Welcome back to The Attorneys. We have a fascinating show as we're talking with Jefferson County Sheriff Mark Pettway. As we come back here on Josh and Sheriff Pettway, we've got a viewer question. We like to hear from viewers. This viewer has a question for you. Her name is Cindy Johnson, and here's her question.
Hello, Sheriff Pettway. My name is Stephanie Pate. We have seen so many school shootings across the country. As a parent, I fear that one day it could happen here. I know that school safety is important to you. Can you tell me what types of things are you doing as sheriff to keep our students and our teachers safe?
I know our kids are precious to us. I have kids myself. My youngest daughter is a teacher in the school. I don't want teachers or administrators taking guns to school. Neither do I want kids bringing guns to school. We are training right now. We're preparing our deputies, along with police officers, how to respond if a situation happens. The deputy that is in that school will be the first one to act, and the others will come and they'll follow suit. So we're prepared right now for any situation to work with other municipalities, or we can make sure that that deputy or that officer's in there that's already there is trained to take that person out and make sure the school is safe. So we're working with all of the school systems in Jefferson County right now to make sure they're safe.
You know, it's interesting, too, that you say that, because one of the things that we've seen as of late in some of the school shootings is that the officers that are on scene have questioned whether, kind of what their role was. Were they instantaneous to respond? Should they wait for backup? That's become kind of a big issue that's been debated, and it sounds like that's an agenda item for you, that it's, look, you've got a responsibility. You're going to have help coming, but you have a responsibility to protect that school, which is really interesting. Absolutely.
And then we are partnering with the school system to make sure that those cameras in the school system are now in our MAC center. We can see what's going on in the schools. The dispatch can give out information to that officer that's there to make sure that officer can find the perpetrator and take them out immediately.
What is the role of the sheriff as it relates to dealing with mental health of those individuals? This is one of the things I wanted to talk about, whether they're in jail or just in the community. I'm sure that you've had to educate your other sheriffs and other law enforcement personnel and even your jailers on issues associated with mental health and kind of how to deal with that. That's become a more prevalent issue that we face in our society today.
Absolutely. And I've been in law enforcement for over 30 years and never been trained how to deal with someone with mental issues. In the past, we saw when someone with mental issues encountered a law enforcement officer, they lost their life. Our job is to save life, not to take life. So I found out that there is training to be able to de-escalate situations dealing with people with mental issues. I brought that training right here to Jefferson County to train all of my deputies how to deal with individuals with mental issues, those that are incarcerated and those that are on the street. All of my deputies have been trained, and now we are trained to train others. We're training everybody here in Jefferson County, all law enforcement, how to deal with people with mental issues. And we're excited about that because we want to make sure that when we encounter someone, that we can help them, not take a life, but we also have resources to show them where we could take them to get the help that is needed. And we fought for that. We fought to get a crisis care center right here. We work with the Republicans. We work with the Democrats. It was not a problem that it became political, but they all saw the need for it right here in Jefferson County to make sure that we got the grant to bring a crisis care center right here to help those with mental issues to get the help they need.
And that also allows them, hopefully to stay out of jail, but if they're in jail, to be able to return to society and have some level of mental health and mental care. Truly incredible. Hey, this is not the most important thing that you do, but there is some overlap that I see at our law firm with the Sheriff's Department, and that is in accident investigation. A lot of your officers are completely trained and ready to roll on accident reconstruction and basically just assisting in accident investigation. Can you just talk for a second about what role officers play and how the training works associated with that?
Oh, we have a great team of deputies that go out and they reconstruct accidents. It's called the START team. They can tell you how fast the car was going, what direction it was coming from, who was at fault. We have technology right now that can reconstruct an accident, the whole scene. And we're proud of the work that they do. And we know that their work that they do will end up in the courtroom. Right. So they have to be very good at what they do to make sure that the information is accurate going into a court of law.
And this shows you how multifaceted the Sheriff's Department is. Not only crime, not only have these great service and programs, but also are assisting as it relates to stuff that I deal with on a daily basis in a lot of our accidents. Sheriff Pettway, thank you so much for being on. We so much appreciate it.
Thank you.
That's why the sheriff was named the top law enforcement executive of the year last year.
That's
because
correct.
of all those things. So Sheriff Pettway, thank you again. And I want to thank you for joining us here on The Attorneys, reminding you once again to call 1-844-LAW-TALK and reach someone from Hollis, Wright, and Clay. We'll see you back here next week.
Thanks for watching The Attorneys, sponsored by Hollis Wright.